My vacation in the U.S. continues, and until I return to Japan, we're running reviews of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, as recorded by Mulele and me for Patreon in 2020. This week, Spider-Man 2 from 2004. It's likely the best of the three films, but it does have a few weird directing choices. We talk about the good and the bad of the film in this episode, originally published on Patreon on April 25, 2020, and you'll hear it right after this. This podcast is part of the Deconstructing Comics Network, where we're grateful to our supporters on Patreon. Patrons get exclusive extra content. Pledge $2 a month or more and get Batman 66 podcast Bat Bits, where we've recently gone over an early draft of Rick Vollard's script for As the Bookworm Turns, and we'll be digging into a variety of documents from the files of William Dozier, producer of Batman and the Green Hornet, including his correspondence with Bruce Lee and more Season 1 Batman scripts. At $4 a month, you also get our monthly show Silver Age Batman, where I'm moving through the book Batman in the 50s issue by issue with a rotating second chair of Paul, Emmett, Patrick, or Kumar. Follow our Patreon for free and you can hear the first two episodes of both Bat Bits and Silver Age Batman. Check it out at patreon.com/deconcomics, and thanks for your support. Welcome to another superhero movie review on Patreon. This is Tim with Mulele, still sheltering in place in Tokyo. How are you?
I'm good. Getting fat, though.
Yeah, it's a struggle.
yeah. Struggle is real.
So, it's not really Tim catches up with the MCU, it's Tim catches up with superhero movies in general. And this time we're looking at Spider-Man 2 from 2004, which a lot of people seem to still regard as one of the best of the superhero movies, ever. I found, there's a site called Little White Lies at lwlies.com, and something they had here was different people choose a movie and say why that movie is the greatest blockbuster of the 21st century. Mm-hmm. And this writer, Elena Lazic, is saying Spider-Man 2 is the greatest blockbuster of the 21st century. And talks about how, in her view, a lot of the more recent superhero movies, and this was apparently written not long after Civil War came out.
Okay.
She feels that they're kind of cold compared to this, that this has more heart to it and more humanity. Maybe I can see that. I don't know. What do you think of that idea?
It does have a lot of heart and humanity, but I felt there's a lot of heart and humanity in. Sorry, my mind is blanking on the name of it. on my favorite MCU movie.
Winter Soldier.
No, Winter Soldier was good, and I thought it was quite interesting in its structure.
Infinity War.
Infinity War. Thank you. I keep thinking Endgame, but Endgame is not. Infinity War. Infinity War had a lot of heart, and for me, I felt it the most when Captain America was trying to stop Thanos from snapping, because that was the end of the end of the end of the film, and you're like, oh fuck, this is going to be bad. But this film, Spider-Man 2, it does have heart. And there's a lot of stuff that I like about it, but kind of the overall feeling I got by the weird editing of the end of the film. And mind you, Sam Raimi has his own, I guess, tempo or isms about how the film uh, moves, but it kind of felt like he didn't want to let it go
Hmm.
because Spider-Man he gets the okay from his girlfriend, go get him Tiger, and he's out the window, he's zooming through the streets, he's really happy, he's doing his thing, his girlfriend finally knows, and everything's worked. But then they have some sort of melancholic fade into Mary Jane Watson's face, and they just linger and then end. So what? Yeah, I understand that she's got some doubts, but I mean that's a little bit of a heavy one to kind of end on.
Mm-hmm.
That and the whole setup for the third film, there's just like too many. There are like three endings to that film.
Yeah, it did strike me as a little weird because yeah, you got the big happy, the big climactic ending of the battle against Doctor Octopus, and
Yeah,
then now you've got the lead into next movie with Harry finding Norman Osborn's Green Goblin stuff,
yeah.
and that could have been the end of the movie. But yeah, then you've got the wedding, and she leaves John at the altar.
I forgot about that. It's like,
And
yeah,
Harry
fourth
is
ending.
there. That surprised me. Like, this must be later, after he found all the Green Goblin stuff.
Mm,
Yeah, and then back at Pete's apartment when he decides, and I guess I don't want to be celibate after all. Because even comic book Spider-Man isn't celibate. Come on.
yeah. Well, I was kind of wondering about that. It's like, what would it be like for if the hero really tried to kind of obey this rule? Could he only be involved with people that he didn't really care about that much? So, and so what does that come to? It's like, I've got your girlfriend. He says, no, that's some prostitute I hired last week. If you want to throw her off the building, go ahead. I mean, I'm unhappy about it, but it's not going to kill me as much as it kills her. Either that, or you're a hero constantly walking around horny, just like, oh man, I want get back to the apartment. I forgot this video, but yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. But I'm glad they finally kind of got to the point of, okay, your idea of protecting people is kind of bullshit here. We are people with agency, and we can make our own choices. And my choice is to live this life with you. And I thought that was actually a really, really nice thing to say. It also made me feel, in a weird way, that the writer was much more interested in the agency of all the characters than the director was. The director seemed to, and this is something I got a little bit early on. All of the women were very screamy. Like there were so many zoom ups or scream into camera
Mm-hmm.
shots that I kind of felt this. Is he making some sort of commentary on women in general?
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like Mary Jane was just screaming all the time, and it was like, here we go with the whole damsel in distress thing that's been going on forever.
Well, it was Mary Jane, and it was Doc Ock's wife. It was and Doc Ock's wife. That one is appropriate because she was about to die. Mary Jane also maybe appropriate, but there also seemed to be a bunch of random people who just kept screaming. It's like something happens, and then these two randoms off to the side of the action scream in panic, or one woman runs to the camera and screams. I think when Doc Ock was waking up in the surgical bay.
Hmm.
Um, but that kind of stuff really made me feel that, okay, he's saying that women are screamers. Because I mean, none of the guys did that.
Hmm.
At least not to the number that women did it. So it just seemed a little bit weird to me, and maybe just a little bit sexist. But
Yeah.
I really felt that the writer was much more on the ball than the director in terms of character's agency, because that speech at the end was really, really good,
Mm-hmm.
despite all of the screaming women in the beginning of the film.
Yeah, screenplay was by Alvin Sargent.
Mm. What else did he do?
Well, wow, he's got quite a few writing credits going all the way back to 1966. Let's see, anything here that I've heard of? He's mentioned as uncredited writer of the first Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And writer of 2, co-writer of 3, and co-writer of The Amazing Spider-Man. Let's see. Ordinary People in 1980.
He wrote Ordinary People?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Paper Moon, 1973.
Paper Moon.
I think it was a, young Jodie Foster
Okay.
movie. Oh, yeah, actually, I've seen that one. Yeah. Yeah. No, not Jodie Foster. Tatum O'Neal.
I do not know who that is.
Okay. She was a child star around the same time as Jodie Foster, but adulthood didn't do her any favors in terms of her career, I guess. I don't know what happened to her.
It happens.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we're getting way off topic here, but I could see why this movie was well regarded, in terms of like the action sequences, and I thought they really nailed the kind of look and feel of Doc Ock. Just kind of the way that he moved, the way that he climbed up buildings. It was straight out of the comics, and I don't think if they made this movie now, I don't think they really could have done that any better than they did in 2004. So yeah, that was really well done. I understand that in a lot of the scenes, unless he's being supported by the arms, like, of course, when the arms are he's climbing up the building, then of course that's CGI. But in a lot of the other scenes, the arms are being controlled by puppeteers.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
I think Sam Raimi's a lot more hands-on. I mean, he does use a lot of CGI here, but I think he really likes the physicality of the of whatever's in shot, whatever's in camera. But I mean, the Spider-Man swinging on a web, you can't really. I mean, he was doing CGI, a lot of CGI, or a lot of like weird compositing in the first one, but this time, mind you, this was post Matrix, so was the first one, and they both have that kind of duck by the knees scene. It was in the first one, and I thought it was kind of cheesy. It was in this one twice. Plus, did you notice Doc Ock is dressed in a leather trench coat with sunglasses, looking very Neo for most of it. I mean, just the actor's physicality is different, so he doesn't look like Neo, but still.
Well, I suppose so, but I mean, it seemed pretty true to a lot of the comic book representations of Doc Ock, too. Although Ock probably wouldn't have worn the trench coat. The goggles are very Doc Ock.
But he wasn't wearing goggles. He was wearing sunglasses, and that was the thing. At certain points, he does take off the sunglasses and look people in the eyes.
True.
But
Ock was wearing goggles while doing the experiment, but then later he switched to sunglasses. That's true.
But the thing is, and I know it's a bit of a lead-in, it seemed to me that they used a lot of the same technique that they used in Matrix 2 for the CGI. The people, when they're fighting or moving through the air, seem just as rubbery as they did in Matrix 2. And so it really reminded me of that generation of CGI. Whereas completely, I think they were kind of new to it, but completely CGI characters. It works better here because Spider-Man's in costume all the time. But in the Matrix, you could kind of see, okay, now it's becoming a cartoon. It actually took you out of the film, noticing how ridiculous some of the stuff was, the movement, the physicality of it, and how rubbery Keanu's face was. But same thing for this, just done a little bit better, even though it's a few years later. A few years, maybe 2 years.
Well, I don't know when. This is 2 years after the first Spider-Man. I'm not sure when Matrix 2 came out. The Matrix Reloaded came out in May 2003. The third film, The Matrix Revolutions, came out 6 months later in November 2003.
Yeah, neither am I, but it seems very much the same generation of special effects, though.
I'm sure, yeah, it must have been within a few years. Of course, Matrix
Yeah,
1 was 1999. I do remember that. But
yeah.
I thought it was interesting to have Doc Ock being controlled by his arms, that the arms are AI. I mean,
Mm,
some pretty sophisticated AI if they become sentient.
yeah, pretty much.
But the interesting thing that led to was that it gave Doc Ock a chance to redeem himself at the end. You know, to when he got control of himself again, and the thing was going to blow, he could sacrifice himself to save the city, basically. That was an interesting way to do Doc Ock.
Yeah, Sam Raimi seems to be much more of a, yeah, it's a MacGuffin. We both know it. Just go with it and you'll enjoy the film kind of guy. He doesn't really get too complicated about it. It's like, okay, well, there's an AI chip, and that explains it. Oh yeah, and the AI, it's this big metal thing that attaches to his spine directly, and has this one small chip that will prohibit it from taking over his mind on the outside of the entire thing. Big metal indestructible arms and a small chip at the base of his neck, housed in glass. It was kind of a ridiculous design, but in the original comic, what was the thing of Doc Ock? Why did he do all of this stuff?
Well, so he was doing some kind of experiment, and the metal arms, originally before the accident, he just like controlled them with these kind of dials that were on the chest piece.
Mm-hmm.
And then the explosion caused it to just fuse to him and somehow become a part of him, which I think the movie made it a little bit more believable because it was actually attached to his spinal cord and his nerves, and whereas in the comic it was just it was stuck to him and therefore he could control the arms with his mind. Mm-hmm. But it's 1964-ish comics, so whatever. Mm-hmm. But I guess in the comics he kind of went crazy, maybe got brain damage from the explosion, and there's virtually no case of Doc Ock redeeming himself. I don't know, maybe once a little bit, but not like in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Oh, his redemption was actually really, really quick, though. And again, just like him becoming Doc Ock was super quick. He's got one line at the end where he's like, "I will not die a monster," and that's it. And then he does the deed, and that's the end of the film. Very simple.
Right. Yeah, well, and it's a movie rather than an ongoing comic, so we have to give him an arc, and if we get rid of him at the end of the movie, so what? We're not going to be making that many more of them.
Well, it's not really an arc. It's more, it keeps escalating, and then suddenly he drops off a cliff. He had no conflict of what he was doing while he was doing it. His wife was dead. He's like, okay, I guess I'll make another version of my experiment to prove that I was right. I think that's why he was doing it. He gets the pieces, doesn't care who he hurts to get all the things that he needs. And I was kind of wondering, it's like, I need money to build my machine. Let me go rob a bank so I can place that Amazon order. I was kind of wondering where he got all that stuff and if it really was just, I need money. So go to the bank to get money, go to Harry to get Super MacGuffin juice.
The Tritium, I think it was called.
Tritium, yeah. And Harry doesn't give a fuck. He's like, okay, you almost blew up half the city last time, but I got my Spider-Man. Here's the shit. That was kind of unbelievable in my mind. But the arc of Doc Ock seemed a little bit not quite an arc. And just a sudden realization is, oh shit, I did this. Oh, okay, let me fix it. See ya. Yeah.
Now, one thing, so I liked the battles in this, but there's one thing that's always been bothering me, I think, about all of these Spider-Man movies. I'm not sure if I ever put my finger on it exactly. I might have mentioned it when we discussed Homecoming. In the comics, Spidey is always making a lot of wisecracks during fights with bad guys.
Yeah.
And in the movies, he does make some kind of joke in the bank battle in this one. I forgot what it was now. But I don't know if they're just thinking that wouldn't work in a movie because of the mask and because you can't, in a comic you can freeze the action and have them spewing sentences where in a movie you just can't really do that. You can't have a lot of dialogue necessarily during a fight, but it just causes it to, for me, it's kind of missing something. It doesn't quite have that Spider-Man flavor if he's not, Bugs Bunny during the fight scenes.
Bugs Bunny, that's good. I didn't really notice that much. I was more invested in the action. And I think one of the things is if you have a silent fight in a Marvel comic, the action moves so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you recognize the image, okay, next, and you're done. It's only 22 pages, or I guess in Silver Age it was less, especially if they had like a backup feature.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea of the quipping was just to slow down the reader more than anything else. And in film, you don't need that because the film moves at the film's pace, and you're kind of stuck there. You're more passive. And so they don't need that stuff. And also it seems a little bit of, it seems to weigh down the action too much if they constantly pause and talk.
Yeah.
So I think the films are trying to forego that stuff. One point though, and it did occur to me that there's a bit of a bridge here, but, or not a bridge, a bit of a impossibility here. The video game, Spider-Man does quip. He quips hard in the video game, and he actually has it as an unlockable superpower. His superpowers are controlled by the various suits that he gets, and during the game you get all these different suits. It's actually quite amazing. And one of them says a special ability, quipping during fights. You, I think, would love the video game. I don't know about playing it and how you are for playing video games, but the video game it answers that question, and it does have that thing, and it's much more accurate to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen it to some extent. My son had it for a while, and then when he finished it, I think he sold it. But I recognized plot elements from fairly recent comics in it. It was really kind of ripped straight from the comics.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my son didn't have it, so I had to buy it myself, and I still have it. So when you come over, if you ever want to, well, if this quarantine ever finishes, if you want to come over and play it and really check it out, man, I think you dig it, even if you aren't really into video games. But I think that the quipping in films would be a little bit unnatural. Although I think they did kind of try to answer that a little bit in this film. Not a whole lot, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I think the part of the effect it has on me is that it makes me feel like Spidey isn't quite characterized right by either Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire. He seems, well, I mean, of course, Spider-Man did start out as a teenager in the comics, but even there, just kind of his personality wasn't quite the same as the movie Spider-Man. They both, well, of course, I haven't seen Andrew Garfield yet, but Maguire and Holland both come off as kind of kid-like and kind of, I don't know, a little wimpy in a way, where, I don't know, if you read the early comics, it's interesting because even though people keep talking about him, Peter Parker, as a wallflower, he's really kind of not. He's willing to get into fights with people, and making a lot of kind of biting remarks about other people, even when he's Pete, let alone when he's Spidey.
Interesting.
Which, yeah, is quite different. Well, it's somewhat different from now, and it's very different from the movies.
Well, I think what we're dealing with, and like with most of these superheroes films, is we're dealing with a base concept that they've augmented for the medium, versus what it originally was. I mean, even the comics have evolved. So
Yeah.
I suppose it's just that thing. But I mean, for you, what era of Spider-Man in the comics is, or comics or films, is definitive?
I think maybe like the later 60s, when John Romita was drawing Amazing Spider-Man.
Senior?
Yes.
I guess Junior would have been 80s.
Yeah, 80s and later. But yeah, because it seems like a lot of the things that have been borrowed by the movies have come from that era of the late 60s, including parts of this movie, in particular the idea of him quitting being Spider-Man. That's taken from Amazing Spider-Man 50 from 1967. And, it's not the same story, but I actually read the comic yesterday, and I could see, okay, they borrowed this for the film, they borrowed this for the film. He the scene of him throwing his Spider-Man costume in the garbage is a classic scene in the comics. And it does get found, although in the comics it was a kid who found it. And JJJ rewarded him by letting him take a free copy of the Daily Bugle.
That guy's a cheap bastard.
Yeah. But in the comic, his reasons for quitting were somewhat different. He felt like he was risking his neck for nothing, and JJJ had, just put a price on his head. He hated him, and he felt like he was just dumb and crazy for doing this. And there was no idea of the psychosomatic loss of his powers, which I thought was kind of silly. And, well, the dumbest thing about it was, how could you possibly fling yourself off a building without being sure your powers were working? I thought that was just crazy stupid. Although I realized reading Wikipedia that part of that scene might have been the in joke where he's saying "my back," which is a reference to Tobey Maguire injuring his back during the filming of Seabiscuit, which
really?
almost necessitated hiring a replacement Pete for this movie.
Oh, wow.
But he recovered in time and he got to do it. But I kind of remember hearing about that at the time, that he had been injured during Seabiscuit.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that him saying "my back" there is an in-joke.
I just took it on its face value where he's like, I'm back. And then he's, my back, my back. I thought that was actually quite funny, even though it is kind of simplistic in its writing.
But then later, as we see later, he could have just done the eyeglasses test. Do the eyeglasses mess up my vision now? Oh, it means I've got my powers back.
Well, I think it was more of a realization than an actual test that he performed.
Right, but we saw in the first movie that the spider powers improved his vision, and he didn't need the glasses.
Yeah, true.
So he could have just thought back to that and checked whether he could see better or worse with the glasses on. But instead, he throws himself off a building. Oh, sure,
that works.
Anyway, but I don't know. Some other people in this movie didn't act very intelligent either. Certainly, the crowds. I mean, I feel like worse than in MCU movies, the people who are in the path of a superhero battle here seem to just stand and watch instead of getting the frick out of the way. And like on the train, as it's heading for the end of the track,
Yeah.
nobody moves to the back of the train. They're all still just kind of standing there in the front car as
Well,
it
yeah,
goes dangling off the edge.
that and the one guy who's like quipping as Spider-Man fails to rescue them. It's
Yeah,
like,
he doesn't
man,
seem terribly worried.
you're gonna die. Aren't you at least concerned?
Yeah. And speaking of that scene, Spidey taking his mask off.
Yeah.
I can only assume that was because the mask doesn't have any emotion and they wanted to get emotion. But I think they're going against the character there in order to do that, because Spider-Man would not take his mask off in that situation. Because he's so concerned about his secret identity. And of course, the whole idea, in the comics, there's never a question of whether the mask, obstructs his vision at all. He can see perfectly the stupid mask, even, as unbelievable as that might be. But it's comics. I could see from a filmmaking standpoint why they had him take his mask off, but as a character moment, I wasn't buying it.
I see. I don't know. Tobey Maguire's I'm trying my best and I'm freaking out face is really kind of hard to watch. I don't know what it is, but he just makes this really bizarre face that anyway, I felt that his face was his face being shown did work in the scene. It did kind of make it more emotional when he passes out and everybody comes to his rescue and they say, "We got you."
Yeah, that's kind of another New York moment.
Yeah, but it's also where he learns to trust, or at least a little bit. That's kind of the preamble to him accepting Mary Jane. He's kind of coming to it, and that's just one more point of hey, see, everybody's okay with it. Sorry, Siri just turned on because I said see. Hey, see, and Siri goes off again.
Also, I was wondering, how did those people get rescued from the train?
Which part?
So, the train has stopped. It's the front car is hanging off the edge.
Yeah.
And Pete passes out and they help him, and then Doc Ock comes back and grabs him, and we never see those people in the train again.
Yeah.
They can't just get off. They're not at a station. They're,
True.
up above the ground there. Apparently somebody came with a crane later, but we never find out what happened.
New Yorkers find a way.
I guess. Although apparently that scene was filmed in Chicago, but anyway. But yeah, it's supposed to be New York, but I don't know how much elevated train New York has. Maybe a little bit, but I guess I sort of associate that more with Chicago, and that's where it was filmed.
To be honest, I have no idea. I was just in Chicago and New York, but I noticed the elevated train in Chicago. That was a major point my sister was pointing out, but beyond that, no idea.
Another point. So when Spidey quits, crime goes up by 75%.
Yeah, he was doing some serious work.
Which, kind of plays into the idea that criminals are inherently criminals and they're only holding back because they're afraid of getting caught, which is kind of a conservative viewpoint.
Yeah, very much so.
Actually, though, so in the Spider-Man 50 issue from 1967, there was also a surge in crime when he quit, but it was organized crime. And it was leading into a Kingpin story. But in this case, and we don't really know who the criminals are, it's probably just like random dudes who are mugging people. So in the comics, it made a little bit more sense, I think, or it wasn't quite as conservative a point, but in the movie, it became kind of Fox News thing.
I do remember seeing a couple of years ago. There was this just to the point of crime going up or down. There's this country in Central America, country city in Central America, where I think it was Central America, where the police were so pissed at something that happened that they went on strike, and they went on strike for like a week or two. Crime dropped.
Huh.
And it dropped so hard that the local people said, "Okay, we're good. You can just stay on strike forever." I don't know what happened years later because it's been a couple of years, but at least at the time, people were like, "Hey, see, the main reason for crime is police."
Interesting.
They also say the main reason for traffic accidents is traffic signals. Which is really anti-intuitive, or at least to me. But yeah, apparently there's something to it in practice.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with you. It is kind of a very conservative viewpoint that Spider-Man holds down crime for all of the city.
So the pizza time line, I guess it became kind of a thing after this movie. He stole my line.
What, pizza time?
So way back, actually it's not my line, but it was one that I appropriated. So 1978,
yeah,
I was in junior high school. My friend and I were at a pizza place, and the waitress, when she brought our pizza, said, "Hi, it's pizza time." And so that line, "Hi, it's pizza time," became part of our lore back then. So kind of, obviously reminded me of that, although it's just shortened to pizza time in this case. But
well, I don't know. I think it's kind of an obvious one, but you never know. Maybe someone knew somebody from somewhere.
I've never heard sushi time. Hi, it's sushi time.
Well, there's no 30 minutes or less with sushi.
That's true.
Yeah.
The Stan Lee cameos in these movies have been kind of wimpy.
Yeah.
In both of them, he's basically just pulling kids out of harm's way. Although, I forgot to mention last time, in the first movie, he did have a line that was cut. You can see it on YouTube. In the original scene in the first movie, he was, like, selling sunglasses. In the festival scene.
Oh, hey, how about these? They wore them in the X-Men.
But that got cut. And so, yeah, it's just, after seeing, he always has a line in the MCU movies. And it's been kind of weird to see him just sort of flitting across the screen and not saying anything.
Yeah, it was like, okay, he's there. We got that part. So just, all right, we're good. I would expect a little bit more for a cameo. Also, surprisingly, he's credited as executive producer in this film, which would make me think that he has a little bit more of a say in that kind of thing. This time I get to speak, at least.
Yeah.
Also, he's credited alongside Kevin Feige, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that. I hadn't realized that Feige was involved that early.
Yeah, well, I heard in some of the news recently that Sam Raimi is going to direct Doctor Strange #2. What is it called? Doctor Strange and the
Multiverse of Madness, I think.
Yeah. And so someone said that, they had worked together on the Spider-Man trilogy. I was like, really? And then I see this, and he's credited in #2. Don't remember seeing him in #1. Maybe he is. I don't know.
He actually was associate producer on X-Men and Spider-Man. Co-producer on Daredevil and X2. Executive producer on Hulk. I guess this is the 2003 Hulk. Is that the Ang Lee?
Possibly. I don't know.
and on the 2004 Punisher movie, and this. Co-producer on Elektra. I don't even remember that existing.
Yeah, it was not good from what I have heard. I haven't really watched it.
And after that, on pretty much like any Marvel film that wasn't MCU, he was executive producer, and then on the MCU ones, he was producer. So yeah, practically it looks like, I'm not sure what would be missing from this list on Wikipedia. I think it's pretty much everything. He was some kind of producer.
Well, with the MCU, the ones from, I think, Iron Man on, Kevin Feige is producer.
Yeah.
And no one else is producer. They're executive producer, assistant producer, whatever, but there's only one producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just a point of control. If we look at these other films, a lot of them have problems with how the story moves, or some of the isms of the characters are not logical extensions of the comic, or true to the comic, or I should say truthy to the comic. They're problems that Feige seems to have massaged out of the MCU for the most part. I mean, if you don't like Kevin Feige's decision making, then yeah, I can see where it just doesn't work. But if you're okay with the things that he's done or the films that he's made, he's got kind of an ism about his way of doing it that wasn't quite all together yet. At this point. Mm-hmm. But on the MCU films, it was much more of that. So,
okay, well, that's what I've got. Did you have anything else you wanted to mention about this?
As far as the question of it being, the quality of the film, I already have said that it's not, in my opinion, the best film, the best superhero film of the 21st century. But at the time, a lot of people were calling this the Empire Strikes Back of Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. In that it upped the ante. It was more complex. It was actually much better than the original, and that kind of thing was so rare because most of the time people didn't do that. Mm-hmm. And actually, I'd say it tops the Empire Strikes Back in that a lot of people weren't prepared for that kind of sequel from Star Wars, and I don't think it was quite as satisfying. Because with this, you're like, okay, now he can be Spider-Man. Yeah, there's some MacGuffin set up for the next one, but whatever. With Empire Strikes Back, I remember my reaction watching that in the theater is 3 years. I got to wait 3 years to find out what happens to Han Solo.
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
Yeah, so in that sense, I think it was a little bit more successful than The Empire Strikes Back as far as sequels go. It doesn't leave you hanging nearly as much. Yeah, it does it does follow the same kind of much better than the original, and I actually felt myself quite much more emotionally invested in this film than I was in the original. As much as I enjoyed number one, number two is a better film to me. Mm-hmm. Best of the three, but I guess that's a spoiler for you.
Well, I've certainly seen that 3 is thought to have some problems, but
we'll get into it next time. But watching this film again actually makes me want to see Doctor Strange 2. And because it's a multiverse of madness, people are hoping for a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man cameo at least.
That would be good.
Yeah, but I mean, he's 20 years older now?
De-aging technology.
Actually, that's true. They did quite a lot for Michael Douglas. So, yeah. But yeah, that's about it. I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. Mm-hmm. And so far, the pre-Robert Downey Jr., this was the best MCU film. If you can call it a straight MCU film, I'm not sure. But it kind of seems to me that there's if not a direct tie-in to the Homecoming story.
Mm-hmm.
At least, at the very least, there is an emotional connection. We've seen the origin story. Uncle Ben is already dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's all old hat by the time you get to Homecoming. And so you could watch 1, 2, 3 and then go to Homecoming. And in fact, the Vulture was supposed to be one of the villains of the next film, but he never made it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, in a couple weeks we'll look at Spider-Man 3. So thanks for listening, and thank you, Mulele.
Thank you.
Follow us on Blue Sky at Decon Comics. On Facebook, we have both a page and a group. Those are linked from deconstructingcomics.com, as is our YouTube channel, where our episodes are posted every week as videos of a single image. You can comment on our episodes on YouTube or on our site, or drop us a line at mail@deconstructingcomics.com, or talk to us. Click the Leave a Voicemail link on the left sidebar of our site. What you're hearing now is from the score of the movie by Danny Elfman and several other composers. The music backing the promotion of our Patreon is Change by Jazar. Next week, Spider-Man 3. Till then, this is Tim, and thanks for listening.